What up, bro? Welcome to an episode of I Bleed Sports. As you know, I am the host, Brandon Janeau, like always on all podcast platforms everywhere. Brandon Janeau Show. Social media platforms, Instagram threads, Brandon Janeau, Facebook, The Brandon Janeau Show, TikTok, Brandon Janeau Show, and X, Twitter, B Janeau. So go follow me on all of those social media platforms. I would appreciate it if you did. Really, really, really would appreciate it if you did. Where you go though, really, is the YouTube channel, man. BrandonJaneauShow YouTube channel. Um, BrandonJaneauShow YouTube channel. Uh, Go subscribe, comment, like the vids, like the shorts. I would appreciate it if you did. Um, yeah. Let's get into it. The first I Bleed Sports of 2026. There's a lot of sports has been going on. Of course, the NFL playoffs is officially here. Kicks off this Saturday. I'll talk about that. I'll be talking about the coaching fires, but I'll get more into that later on. And I will be talking about college football's playoffs because that is also going on right now uh, in um, in the world of sports. And I'll talk about those two games that are coming up this week, starting this Thursday. I'll talk about those two games, and then I also will talk about um, how a college football playoff committee needs to get slapped in the goddamn face. So, and also I'll be talking about the NBA. Got some news about that today, which I'll talk about that with the trade deadline coming up. So I'll talk about that. But let's start it off with this, man. So, got to take it back all the way to December 19th, 2025. That was the night where finally all was right in boxing. All was right in boxing. Because Anthony Joshua knocked Jake Paul's ass out. Finally. Finally. I was going to do a show on this, but then everybody started overreacting to it and super overreacting to it. And yeah, shout out to certain people in the boxing community, but one person in particular, Showbiz Lado. I respect what he does, but sometimes the content kind of does get a little eerie for me. I think and it wasn't just him. There was a lot of boxing so-called analysts that are boxing supporters that was just like, oh man, Jake Paul, man, he was great. He's great for boxing and all this other shit. No, he's not, bro. And I think people need to stop saying that he was great for boxing. Yes, his company, the way he has positioned himself in the boxing world, the way he has positioned the women boxers, giving Elise Bumgarner, the platform to get to be the first woman to have not the first woman, but you know, 3 minute rounds, in female boxing. Um, that was dope. A 12 round, 3 minute fight for women. That was pretty dope. On the card. So you can respect what he has done in the senses of the boxing, you know, the boxing business. But him as a boxer is where the fuck I lose the yeah, we need to give him credit shit. Jake Paul is not a boxer. He's never been a boxer. The fact of the matter is he fought people that he knew he could beat. He knew he was more equipped in the senses of boxing. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, every time they brought up Jake Paul, they always said, oh, you should see him when he trains and shit." Hey, bro, you know how many motherfucking people are great in practice? Training is practice, nigga. You know how many people are great in practice, and then when it's game time, they don't show up. Tons, tons, nigga. And it's not this. Oh, you hating on Jake Paul? No, nigga. I am sick and tired of when you give critiques of a person and tell the truth about a person or say something about a person. The first thing niggas want to run with is you hating on someone. I'm not hating on this fucking dude. Jake Paul was never a fucking boxer. He was a celebrity in a world, in a sporting world, where he can capitalize on what the fuck they were missing. Boxing was missing a superstar. They were missing someone with some cachet with a name. That's all the fuck it was missing. The boxers that we are watching and looking at, if Ryan Garcia beats Tank Davis, what is Ryan Garcia? You know, is he now the Jake Paul of it? Canelo Alvarez, in a sense, right? Like, there are certain boxers that I look at and I'm like, you get in the ring with a real boxer, they'll fuck you up. Ryan Garcia is one of them. Which, by the way, I still want to see Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia too. That shit needs to happen. Especially if Ryan Garcia beats Marcos Barrios, which right now, that is not a hard fight, to be honest with you. I don't think Ryan Garcia has anything outside of a fucking hook, and he will always have nothing but a hook. But Marcos Barrios, the last couple times I've seen him box, he just doesn't look good. He just doesn't look good, and he might be accessible to that fucking hook. So, yeah. But Jake Paul is not a boxer, and I feel like we gave him too much credit for some shit he never really did. And we kept saying if he ever gets in a ring with a actual boxer, they will fuck him up. And guess what happened? He got in the ring with an actual boxer and they fucked him up, broke his jaw. And that's what's supposed to happen. And I think people don't understand this. Anthony Joshua needed to do what he did to Jake Paul. He couldn't play around. He couldn't do the typical Jake Paul fight shit where people after the end of the fight feel, you know, dejected. They feel like the fight cheated them. They feel like they just didn't try. He could not go in there and have that type of performance against Jake Paul. He couldn't because his career couldn't sustain that shit. He needed to do exactly what the fuck he did. If he went out there and had basically a fight that they were having for most of that match, yeah. If he would have just went into the 8th round, never touched him, never knocked him down, never did any of that shit, and Jake Paul escaped but lost on the cards, it would have looked extremely bad for him. He needed to knock Jake Paul out. There was no way around that shit. He had to knock him out. There was no way around it. I know people want to sit there and say, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. He needed to hurt him. He needed to punish Jake Paul. He needed to put his ass on the ground. He needed to end the fucking fight. I don't give a fuck how much the quote unquote the script was supposed to be. Anthony Joshua's career would have been over if he didn't put Jake Paul's ass on the ground. Because then you now look at him and say, so a third fight with Usyk, maybe another fight with Daniel Dubois, you and Fury at some point, you and Wilder maybe, you and Joshua Parker, you and all of these heavyweight fighters that have come up in the last couple of years, and you could not beat Jake Paul. You beat him, but you didn't hurt him. You didn't significantly beat that ass like we thought you would. He could not sustain it, especially the last time we saw him as boxing fans. We saw him get his ass knocked out by Daniel Dubois, who didn't turn around and got his ass knocked out by Usyk. He could not have a boxing match where he did not hurt Jake Paul. That was going to be a stain on his career, way more than him getting knocked out by Andy Ruiz, more than him getting knocked out by Daniel Dubois, him getting tagged by Usyk and losing to Usyk. That was going to be that stain that he could never wipe off. And that's just facts. My thing with Jake Paul is that now that he has lost and we got what we wanted, most of us got what we wanted in that fight. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done pouring our energy and our time into this celebrity boxer? Are we done? Are we fucking finally done? We got what we wanted. Jake Paul's now gonna go back to fighting fucking tomato cans. He's not gonna fight anybody of professional status because he broke his fucking jaw. Somebody was like, "Oh, he saw him out. He want to fight Canelo." Which, by the way, to be honest with you, if I was Canelo, I take the fucking fight. I know a lot of people think that's crazy of me, but Jake Paul's mouth should be back to normal in a year. Let's say we do this shit in a year. Let's say this by the end of this year, Jake Paul's back and he's healthy and he can fucking box and he could go. If I was Canelo Alvarez, I would take that fight. And I know it sounds crazy, and I know that people are gonna be like, but I'm looking at it from the perspective of Canelo does not need to jump back in the ring with someone that can actually hurt him. Like what he cannot do is go in the ring and now think, okay, especially now that Bud Crawford, which I'll talk about, has retired. Canelo needs a tune-up. Jake Paul is a perfect tune-up. But Jake Paul also needs a fight where he can prove that he is not just this celebrity boxer type. But he is not going to win that fight. I think Canelo might give him what he wants, which is what he thought Anthony Joshua was going to do, which is kind of just walk with him down the ring and he's going to throw a couple of shots at him and he's going to weave out the way. But Jake Paul could also go in there and think that he's a boxer and he needs to prove he can be that guy. And he might go in there and try to really hurt Canelo, and that might backfire. And that might backfire. My question to this again is are we done with Jake Paul? And because we got what we wanted. We always said he's never gonna fight a real boxer, and when he finally does fight a real boxer, he's probably gonna get fucked up and he's probably gonna get hurt and he's not gonna walk out of this. And so that was the conversation, right? Like the reason why a lot of us watched those fights with Jake Paul was kind of like, can he fight a real boxer and get hurt? And him fighting Anthony Joshua, like I said a couple months ago before I stopped, doing I believe sports for the year, I literally said that fight was going to be exactly what I expected it to be. I didn't think that. I thought Jake Paul wouldn't last past 2 rounds, but also Jake Paul was going to run. As big as that fucking ring was, he was trying to get the fuck out of Dodge every chance he got. Are we finally done? Are we finally done with Jake Paul? We know now what he is. And here's again, goes into what I've been saying. Jake Paul is not a boxer. Against average to not boxers at all, yeah, he's a fucking boxer. But to a actual boxer, he can't fucking beat them. I know people gonna sit there and say, "Oh, Mike Tyson." Mike Tyson was 30 years his senior, and even in that sense, Mike Tyson was on his deathbed a year prior. That's why they didn't fight the year before, because that fight was supposed to happen a year prior, and he didn't fight him because he was on his deathbed. Like, we gotta stop putting shit into this perspective of Mike Tyson should have did this to him. Nah, Mike Tyson couldn't touch him. He was 50 fucking years old with a knee brace on. He couldn't fucking touch him. Like, we gotta stop this shit, bro. I don't think Jake Paul is gonna ever fight a actual real boxer, aside maybe of Canelo Alvarez. That's about fucking it. I don't think he's ever gonna fight a actual real boxer ever again, in the sense of like a Anthony Joshua. That shit ain't happening, bro. I think we have to acknowledge that and move the fuck on. And that's why I say, are we finally done with this? Are we finally done with Jake Paul? Are we finally officially done with this Jake Paul shit? Now, some of you are gonna sit there and say, yeah, and some of you are not. When his next fight comes up, whenever he gets back in that ring, you're gonna watch it. Especially if it's against Canelo Alvarez. You're gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch that if he fights Canelo next. Because I want to see how Canelo is actually going to take that fight. If he's going to take it serious or if he's going to just do it for a fucking paycheck. And that's more so on Canelo than it is Jake Paul. I don't think Jake Paul's a boxer, bro. Jake Paul is not a boxer. If you actually watch that fight, him diving to the floor at 200 pounds, bro, you were choosing, by the way. Jake Paul was choosing to go to the ground and try to take down Anthony Joshua every fucking time he had a chance to. That weighs on you. And then on top of that, you had to get bigger to go into that fight. And your stamina already was not great because you've never been in fights like that where you had to last 8 fucking rounds and somebody's coming after you and trying to hit you. Everything about that fight was terrible for him. His stamina was god awful. He can't box. He can't block. He has no real footwork outside of just the quick little power shots he got. He has no fucking footwork. He has no chin because he never really had to be punched in it before. So we don't really know if he can take a fucking punch. And finally, we saw if he could take a fucking punch. And no, he can't take a fucking punch. He is not a boxer. Can we finally get this shit over and done with? Thank you for coming. It was fun, but this celebrity boxing shit needs to die. Let's get back to the actual real boxing, which brings me to my birthday. Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson is official. It is going to happen in a couple of weeks on my birthday. I cannot wait for this fight. I have said numerous times, I think Teofimo Lopez, when he's focused, is probably the best boxer out of the four. I think Tank is still a little bit better than him, but I think Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson is going to be pretty fucking interesting to see. Like I said, when Teofimo Lopez is fucking focused, I don't think anybody touches him. Shakur Stevenson is a really great defensive boxer. And he can hit, and he can punch. But the one thing about Shakur Stevenson that I feel like can get him fucked up in his fight is his willingness to not let his hands go sometimes. He would just sit there in a pocket and just try to get out the way and throw little pop shots. And for Floyd Mayweather fights, that worked. Because Floyd can get the fuck out the problem quick enough. Shakur Stevenson has that ability to get out the pocket, but Teofimo Lopez, excuse me, when he's on and he's focused, can get to Shakur Stevenson. And I think that's what this style of this game. Who's going to put the pressure on who? If Teofimo Lopez is the one that's going at Shakur Stevenson all night, I think he gets tagged a couple times. But I don't think it's a problem for Shakur to get at him. Now, if Shakur Stevenson is the one that's putting the pressure on Teofimo Lopez, now you got a problem because Shakur can get out the way and he can force him to box him in a way where Teofimo Lopez is not particularly used to. This is going to be interesting because Shakur Stevenson is not the aggressor a lot in his fights. He's usually the one that just kind of just walks through the fight, and he's not really the aggressor. The only time I've seen Shakur Stevenson really be the aggressor is the Jamal Herring fight. Even the Oscar Valdez fight, it took him a minute before he really just picked him apart. Shakur Stevenson is usually not the aggressor. He's usually taking a minute. He's trying to figure it out. Teofimo Lopez is usually the one that puts the pressure on. So it's going to be pretty interesting if Shakur Stevenson is on the pressure side. And if he's the one that's pressuring Teofimo Lopez, I don't think Teofimo Lopez can keep him off, which is crazy. I think Teofimo Lopez, if he's the one that's pressuring Shakur, I think he could get to Shakur. I think he could touch him a couple times. I think he can actually knock him fucking down. This is why I say styles make fights, and that's going to be a pretty fucking interesting fight to see. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be an interesting fucking fight to see. I think Keyshawn Davis is also on that fucking fight card. I can't remember. I think Adula Mason might be on that fight card too. It's going to be pretty interesting. You already know me. I want to see Bam Rodriguez versus fuck, I forgot his name already. The Nightmare. Oh man, I want to see that fight so much. I want to see Bam versus the Nightmare in the featherweight division before the Nightmare goes up to lightweight. I want to see that. That needs to happen. I think we haven't had that clear cut number one hit yet. David Benavidez is supposed to be fighting, I think, Arthur, if I'm not mistaken, or if he maybe he might be fighting Bivol. I don't know. One fight that I know is not happening is Bud. Bud Crawford has officially retired from boxing, which he should have. What more do he needs to prove? I think he's proven it. He literally walked through the middleweight division, walked through the lightweight division, and beat the biggest, toughest, baddest son of a bitch in the middleweight division for years in Canelo Alvarez, and somebody that a lot of people, even myself, I didn't know if Bud can really punish Canelo like he's been punishing a lot of other people because the first fight he had in the middleweight, he didn't look particularly great. But that's why I fight Styles make fights. I didn't think Canelo can bully Bud Crawford. I never thought that. I think a lot of people thought Canelo was going to bully Bud. Never thought that. I thought Bud couldn't get caught by Canelo a couple times, and maybe that may fuck him up a little bit. But it was never to that point. He handled his business. He beat the hell out of Canelo, and that was pretty much how it went. But Bud is retired, and for me personally, man, I have no problems with Bud retiring. I think Bud has done everything he could. The only other thing he could have done is go up to light heavyweight, and I think you now reaching certain standards where I don't think you need to be in. I think once you get to light heavyweight, it's like, bro, you're putting more pounds on your body, especially at 37, 38 years old, damn near 40, that you don't need to do. Like, you've done enough. You've won these games. You won. You've proven that you are one of the greatest boxers of all time. There's no need for you to try to jump up to another weight class to prove absolutely nothing, especially when you now know sitting for you, waiting for you is Bivol and Arthur Benavidez. No, oh my God. Oh, Arthur. And then you got also David Benavidez sitting there. Like, you guys and Anthony Yardy, and it's just like, why are you rushing going up so many weight classes? It doesn't make sense. Like, you won, you proved that you're great, and let's leave it at that. I think let's leave it at that. Basketball, NBA. So Trey Young could be on the move. If you remember my NBA preview show, I thought that the Atlanta Hawks would be one of the best teams in the East. Clearly, that is not happening. Trey Young is reportedly, I think he came out today and was like, "Hey, I'm open to being traded if they want to trade me. I'm open to it." Um, do I think Atlanta makes sense to trade Trey Young at this moment? Yeah, I mean, rebuild. It's time. You've tried with this team. You tried to grow this team. You tried to make this team special, and you just can never get back to the Eastern Conference Finals like you did in 2021. Yeah, 2021. Yeah, when you played the Bucks and the Bucks beat you. Um, you can just never recapture that, and that's okay. Trey Young, I think it's time for him to go and try a new place. The question really does become, where does he go? And I know that people are gonna sit there and say, "Oh, he needs to go to the Lakers." No, the fuck he doesn't. The Lakers do not need a Trey Young. You gotta stop trying to put this dude on all these different fucking places. Like, no. Where Trey Young needs to go is a team that actually can fucking benefit with him on the court and already have a built-in team defensively that can handle his deficiencies on the court as a defensive player. He's not a great defensive guard. Stop trying to think he is. He's too small to be a great defensive guard. And so you're putting yourself into a situation where you're trying to ask him to do more than what he can actually physically do defensively. You need to have a team that's already ready for that. Which brings me to the team, right? What is that team? Who is that team? What does that significant team looks like? What does that significant team look like? And for me personally, and I don't know if they'll do it because of the situation, but the team that I think would be perfect for Trey Young at this moment is the Boston Celtics. I think Boston. I think if you can find a way to maybe move Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, and maybe a first round pick for Trey Young, and that might even still be enough, but I think Trey Young being moved to Boston, if Boston really still believes that they have enough to get to a playoffs this year and maybe be competitive in the East, because the East is not that crazy. And if you put Trey Young on a court against Jalen Bronson, I like your matchup situation way more than Peyton Pritchard or Derek White. I think that fits. And plus, on top of that, Trae Young would be hidden somewhat in the Boston system defensively. They are good enough to hide him defensively. And that is why I think if he ended up in Boston, it wouldn't be as crazy as people think. Boston's one. The Clippers. I mean, as much as we clown the Clippers a lot this season, they're now starting to try to figure it out. And I like how they're trying to figure it out. Kawhi is starting to play a little bit more. And if you truly believe that Kawhi is healthy, there is a real conversation of, okay, let's try to now collectively figure out our future. Do we want James Harden to be our centerpiece? No, then go get Trae Young. Go get Trae Young. There are options. There are ways you can make this move. Maybe Toronto. I mean, Toronto feels like a team that's very centered into defense. You got Scotty Barnes. You got Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl. You got some defensive players, and you can trade Isaiah quickly for Trae Young, and maybe Grady Dick, and you trade those two, and you get Trae Young. It makes sense. There are teams that will probably take Trae Young, but this usual suspect shit, which is always the fucking Lakers and fucking sports media minds, no. Or here's a team that nobody's even thinking about, which is more so about the future than it is about the now. The Dallas Mavericks. You don't have to worry about anything. If you trade Trae Young, let's say you trade Trae Young for Anthony Davis, you would make that deal? You would make that deal? You trade Trae Young for Anthony Davis and let's say Kyrie Irving, who isn't playing this year because he tore his ACL. You would make that deal? Or Klay Thompson, you would make that deal? Cooper Flag and Trae Young for the next 5 to 10 years. Trae Young's still 20 something. Trae Young ain't old. Trae Young's still in his fucking 20s. And Cooper Flag is fucking 19. Like for the next 2 years. And then again, like I said, the built-in defense. You have the team that can help out Trae Young because you saw it when they had Luka. The only problem is when you get into the playoffs, and now Trae Young is going to have to guard certain people, like say Gilgeous-Alexander and people like that. But then you could take because I was about to say you could pick up a flag or say Gilgeous, but then you're making Trae Young have to guard Jalen Williams or fucking Chad Holmgren, and that's just disrespectful. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, but Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso is not really a great offensive player like that. I mean, he's pretty decent, but that's not his thing. And Alex Caruso versus Trae Young in a playoff game, oh, that's easy money for Trae. And I like Alex Caruso, but that's easy money. That's easy fucking money. Um, but yeah, but yeah. Speaking of the Thunder, the Thunder, the Thunder has had an interesting season so far. They started off 24-1. Everybody's like, oh man, they go back to the finals. Even I was kind of like, yeah. In the last couple of weeks, they've kind of lost a lot of games and blown a lot of leads in these types of games. I still think the Thunder is a better team than a lot of people give them credit for. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed in the West. Excuse me. And I still think they're going to get to the Western Conference Finals. But who they see in that Western Conference Finals might determine if they get back to the NBA Finals. And to me, I have said this numerous times this whole year. I've said literally that I know people say it's the Rockets, and also I know some people have said it's this team and that team. I have literally said from the fucking beginning of this NBA season when I did the preview show, I said the San Antonio Spurs are going to give the fucking Thunder a fucking problem. They cannot stop that fucking team. I knew this was coming. I'm not surprised that the Spurs have beaten the Thunder like they've beaten the Thunder this season. Now, the playoffs are a completely different animal. I've seen teams have problems with teams in the regular season, and then they get in the playoffs, and then the team that they have had a problem with in the regular season, they didn't really have a problem with them in the postseason. Like they didn't really have a problem with them. I think the Thunder and the Spurs are going to be the next for the next 3 to 4 years. I think people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I think the Spurs and the Thunder are the next 3 4 years. Victor Wembanyama stays healthy. That the way they have built the Spurs is fucking phenomenal. To sit there and see how Greg Popovich leaving, and it feels like the Spurs are still the Spurs, man. It's crazy to me. The Thunder are going to have a problem with the Spurs. That's just fucking facts. Like Victor Wembanyama is slightly better than Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. That's just facts, bro. He's just better than them. Shai Gilgeous is great, and he's the better player out of De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle. But these are two teams that are going to clash for the next 5 to 10 years, like the next 2 to 3 years. If everything stays intact, everybody's healthy, everybody's good. For the next 2 to 3 years, this is going to be pretty much a Western Conference Finals. Now, I don't know if it happens this year, but I damn sure know it's going to happen next year. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I think the Spurs still need to stay healthy. They need to get into the playoffs. They need to field the playoffs for the first time ever. You got a lot of young players on that team that's never experienced the playoffs before. So we shall see. But I personally think if these two teams play in the playoffs, it's going 7. I think the Thunder win if it's in OKC. Or even if it's not, I think the Thunder just have a little bit more experience in the playoffs than the Spurs do. But next year, that's going to be a whole other conversation. Speaking of playoffs and teams right now, the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, I think, lead the Eastern Conference. I'm not sure. Um, I don't trust the Knicks in the playoffs. It's not Mike Brown. Well, a little bit Mike Brown. Um, I don't trust the Knicks in playoffs. People forget again. You're looking at a regular season and trying to tell me about the regular season. I don't give a shit that the Knicks win 60 games in the regular season. When it's playoff time, Karl-Anthony Towns still can't fucking defend nobody. Jalen Bronson is a liability on defense. You got your two best players are liabilities on defense. Yeah, regular season you can cover it up because nobody gives a fuck about the regular season. Nobody cares about playing tough in the regular season. Postseason is a completely different fucking animal. Those shots that Cade Cunningham probably wouldn't have taken in the regular season game, he taking the bitches in the postseason. He gonna shoot over Jalen Bronson in the postseason. He gonna take a shot at Jalen Bronson in the postseason. Those moves that Karl-Anthony Towns was doing in the regular season that people were just like, oh no, I'm not gonna touch. They gonna hit his ass aggressively in the postseason. They gonna fuck him up in the postseason. That is why I keep saying you to say. And I've said this numerous times. I said it at the beginning of the season. I've said it numerous times. I'll say it again. The Knicks look good in the regular season. They're gonna look great in the regular season because nobody's trying to get the number 1 seed. And yeah, even though it's gonna be a tough place to play in New York with that crowd and that atmosphere, but nobody fears the Knicks. And I think that that's what people are not understanding. You don't fear the Knicks, nigga. The regular season is the regular fucking season, brother. And y'all have not figured this part out yet. The Knicks are not built for the postseason, bro. Yeah, regular season they look great. They look good. But postseason? And again, yeah, Mike Brown might be playing a little bit more of the bench. He might be putting more people in those situations. But a lot of those players have not been in those types of situations in a postseason atmosphere. And I know people gonna sit there and say, well, that kryptonite is gone. Tyrese Halliburton. Bruh, I don't think you understand. Like I said, the postseason is different. It's a different animal. Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns could score. They can't stop a fucking soul. And that's where the problem is going on the postseason. Again, I could be completely fucking wrong. It is January 5th. The playoffs don't start until April. I could be completely fucking wrong. The Knicks can make a move and go get somebody during a trade deadline that can make me be like, you know what? That's a good fucking move. That might be the move they need to actually get over the hump. But as much as I'm looking at this shit, I'm saying to myself, the Knicks are going to probably win 60 something games. And I promise you, I would not sit here and tell you that the Knicks are going to win and fucking go to the NBA Finals. And I picked the Knicks to get the Eastern Conference. I picked them. I said they're the only team that actually brought people back that actually played last year. I picked them, and I still don't think the Knicks are going to the NBA Finals. I think the Knicks are going to have a problem at some point because at some point you're going to play teams that can actually go at your two-star players, and they can't fucking defend. It's a problem. As good as Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns look on paper offensively, and they are great offensively, defensively they fucking suck. They're not good. And that is going to cost them at some point in the fucking playoffs. Maybe not in the Eastern Conference playoffs, maybe not the Eastern Conference rounds, but in the NBA Finals, you playing the Spurs and the fucking Thunder all for 7 games. They're gonna pick on them, and they're gonna find a way to pick on them. So yeah, which brings me to the Lakers. You know, the funniest part about last year was seeing everybody try to tell you how Luka Doncic being traded to the Lakers was the greatest thing on the planet, and that Dallas fucked up, and Dallas don't know what the fuck they're doing, and their GM is stupid, and the GM got fired this year. So they really did believe that sentiment. But now you're hearing Lakers fans complain about everything that the fucking GM pretty much traded him for. His lack of fucking defensive effort. Because, like I've said numerous times, I said this shit at the beginning of the motherfucking season, like I did, like I'm going to continue to say. I said this shit at the NBA edition when I did my show. I literally said, I don't give a fuck that Luka lost weight. It's about his effort. Defensively, he's never had to play defense before. Even in Dallas, he never had to play. All he had to worry about was scoring 40 fucking points a game and getting triple doubles. That's all the fuck he's ever had to worry about. So now y'all are asking him to play defense? That's never been his fucking game. He's never had to worry about being a defensive player. Ever. He's only had to worry about ball handling and scoring, passing, and getting people involved. And in the playoffs, that is going to be their downfall because he can't fucking defend. You're playing 4-on-5 defensively. That's just the way the fuck they are. But you knew that. And then you have Austin Reeves, who's also not a great defender. So what the fuck are you complaining about? I don't understand this shit. You didn't do shit in the off season to fix this dilemma. You knew this was going to be a problem when the season started. And if you get into the postseason, which you might get into, you're not going far because you can't fucking defend. And then on top of that, you never. And then on top of that, your best player, you're still relying on a 40-year-old fucking forward to be your best fucking player offensively and defensively. What the fuck did you expect was going to happen? This is just the regular season. This is the regular season. And y'all are bitching about it already. If you're a Lakers fan, you already crying about the fucking regular season defensive effort of the fucking Lakers. What the fuck do you think is going to happen when y'all get in the playoffs? If you make it, what the fuck you think going to happen? This is why the Lakers only are going to be good when LeBron James retires. I hear the Bron fans already coming out the window. Oh my God, hey, no, Bron. No, nigga. The Lakers have a future with Luka, but they can't do shit until LeBron James leaves. They can't do a damn thing until LeBron leaves. And no matter what the fuck LeBron James and Lakers do, this is why I kept saying, if I was the fucking Lakers, I don't give a fuck what LeBron's saying. I would have traded his ass. I would have traded his ass. I'm not waiting for you. We need to start this rebuild, or at least somewhat of a premature rebuild with Luka. and they haven't done it. If I was the Lakers, if I was the Lakers, I would have got rid of I would have got rid of LeBron James. I would have asked him, where the fuck do you want to go? We can't make that happen. Where else do you want to go? The Lakers have no one to blame but themselves. The Lakers have no one to blame but themselves. College football. College football. You know what's funny? Watching these games during the New Year's games, hearing how people was talking about these games, right? Miami and Ohio State particularly, right? Everybody just believed Ohio State was going to go in there and beat Miami, and everybody was going to just go back. And Ohio State didn't play anyone. And for someone who's a new head coach, for someone that's already a new head coach, I mean, not a new head coach, a new quarterback in Julian Thing, who never started in a college game like that before, you expected him to just come into the NFL, come into college, and be a good quarterback without having any real reps against any good team. I said this numerous times throughout the year. I said Ohio State hasn't really played anybody. So what happens when they actually do play someone? And we saw. You realize Ohio State was undefeated until the Big Ten championship game, and then they lost to Indiana, and then they lost their second game to Miami, and now the season is over. They lost two games, and the season is over. Now next year, maybe they're a better team, but this year, and again, it goes into the Big Ten scheduling. If I was, I don't know how you could get the schedule right, but if I was them, I'd be like, man, put Penn State, put Indiana, put Penn State, put Indiana, put clearly Michigan's gonna be on the list, man. Put any of the good Big Ten team, Oregon. We need competition. We need it. The way that the media was talking down on Miami for a good stretch of the time made me laugh because I'm like, bruh, I think y'all have not really watched Miami this season. Miami defense, which was the one Achilles heel last year of Miami, and I swear to God, I say this to my brother Juan every day. If Cam Ward had this defense last year, holy fuck, Miami would be great. Cam Ward and Miami would have went fucking undefeated last year. Cam Ward and Miami would have went undefeated last year if they had this defense they have this year. They would have been undefeated. And then everybody would have sat there and told you straight to your face, yeah, Cam Ward is obviously the number one fucking quarterback. Excuse me. But I'm not surprised Miami got to the semifinals. Not at all. I knew Miami was a better team than Ohio State. I think people took the game that they had against Texas A&M and they tried to make it seem like that was a reprimandum on Texas A&M. When in reality, I mean on Miami. When in reality, you're on the road, you're in Texas A&M. It was cold as shit that day, and you haven't been on the road in that capacity like that ever. In a college football game, yeah, you've been in college games on the road, but never to that capacity of a college football playoff game, and yet you still won. I'm not surprised Miami won. Texas Tech versus Oregon. Oregon didn't have to score, and I'm pretty amazed at the Oregon defense. I didn't think Oregon defense would be that stout on Texas Tech, but Texas Tech also cost themselves that game. I think they had like what four fucking turnovers, like four or five turnovers in that game. Like you don't win a game like that. You never will win a game. turning the ball over 4 or 5 times, especially 2 times in the fucking red zone. Like you will never win a game like that ever. So I'm not surprised. And the fact that Texas Tech didn't even score, they put the defense in a fucking no-win situation. They really did. They put their defense in a no-win situation. That defense did their fucking job. That offense just sold them the fuck out. What was the other game? Ole Miss and Georgia. That was the best game that they had in the whole college fucking quarterfinals, man. Am I shocked Georgia lost? Not really. I mean, am I shocked? Nah, not really. Um, Georgia's defense has been their downfall and their Achilles heel all fucking season. They did not fix their defense. I think y'all are trying to say, well, they played 4 games and they gave up 10 points or some shit. That don't mean shit. That don't mean shit. It just depends on who you playing. That don't mean shit. Like Georgia got a bye, and great, Georgia had a bye, but they didn't. They didn't do anything. And I think Georgia got royally fucking screwed, by the way, by the fucking committee, because Georgia should have been the 2 seed, not Ohio State. Georgia should have been a 2 seed. If you look at the and again, Ohio State only lost in the conference championship game at that time. But I think Georgia got royally screwed because Ohio State did lose and they lost in the conference. Like they did lose, and they did lose in the conference championship game. Where Georgia's loss, they avenged it against Alabama in the conference championship game. I think if Georgia would have got the 2 seed, I still think Miami beats them. Don't get it twisted. I think Miami still would have won, but I think they got royally screwed. And I think Ohio State and everybody would have finally got their open. They got what they wanted, which was Ohio State getting into the championship game, getting to at least the semifinals. But then they would have ran up against Miami. They still would have ran up against Miami. And so yeah, but I think Georgia got royally screwed by the committee because Georgia should have been a 2 seed. I get that Ohio State was undefeated going into the conference championship game, but they still lost. And at the end of the day, and they didn't look good in that game. They still lost. So yeah, man. I purposely would have put Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Texas Tech 4. That's what I would have done. But yeah. And Alabama and Indiana. You see, you see, I did this before the end of the year. I did a whole episode on the college playoffs. And I talked about how Alabama should have never just walked their ass into the college playoffs without a conversation or a discussion or nothing. They just gave them the 9 seed for no reason. When you lose 4 games in a season, 3 of them were fucking blowouts. The first game of the year, and I said this repeatedly, you cannot tell me because they beat Vanderbilt and all these other teams later on in the season that that just automatically wipes away the Florida State loss. Like, no, nigga, it doesn't wipe it away. It makes it actually more questionable. Because do you see Florida State get their ass handed to them the rest of the year? And you're like, okay, I get it, it's the first week, but nigga, how the fuck you lose to Florida State when they look like this? Like, yeah, they look like this. Like, how the fuck do you lose to Florida State and they look like this? I get it, it's the first game, you get caught off guard, whatever. There ain't no way in hell you lost to Florida State, and I'm supposed to sit up here and tell you that they deserve to be in the playoffs. That's ridiculous. And then you got blown out by Georgia. And then you get to the Oklahoma game, and you were getting blown out in the Oklahoma game. And you got fucking lucky that Oklahoma basically gave the game away. They choked the fucking game away. You got fucking lucky that the Oklahoma Sooners choked the fucking game away. But you did not get lucky in the Rose Bowl, which again proves that Alabama was never supposed to be in the fucking playoffs to begin with. You went for ratings, and you got what you wanted. You got the ratings. Oh, you got the. See, this is why I hate when people do this goofy ass shit. You got the ratings that you wanted, but now you got all the backlash that goes with it because people all saw Alabama get their fucking ass whipped by Indiana, and they now looking at the committee like, so this is what you thought was good? You thought a 3-loss team who had 2 blowouts previously to this, you thought this was good. Now, Alabama fans gonna jump in the comments and say, well, Todd Simpson got niggas. Shut up. Y'all was getting blown out before Todd Simpson. Matter of fact, you niggas didn't have a point on the board when Todd Simpson was fucking in the game. Like y'all didn't have a point on the board when Todd Simpson was in the game. What the fuck are you talking about? Alabama should have never been in the playoffs. Notre Dame, Miami. Those are the only 2 teams that should have made it that didn't have to win the conference championship, that didn't play for a conference championship. Miami, who's now in the semifinals, which I'll talk about in a minute, and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They should have been in the fucking playoffs. There is no way in hell you about to sit there and tell me that because Alabama beat Missouri or whoever the fuck they beat that made you believe this shit, Tennessee or LSU, you thought that guaranteed them a spot because it's Alabama. No, nigga, you got to make sense of it. And that decision makes your committee look fucking stupid. And then to see the egg on your fucking face because ESPN tried to spin the fuck out of how Georgia lost, Ohio State lost, Alabama got fucking destroyed. And they tried to spin it and spin it and spin it. And they couldn't fucking spin it because it is not spinnable. There is no flipping of this situation. There is no what the fuck happened? How did this happen? Feeling. It's you should have never put their ass in the fucking tournament to begin with. That's on you. You fucked up. Alabama should have never been in the college playoffs. They didn't have a win significant enough to make Vanderbilt and Georgia. Those are the only 2 wins. And Georgia blew their ass out the next time they played them. And yet you sat there and said, that doesn't matter because they beat Georgia in fucking September. Because they beat Georgia in September, the 3rd week. They played Georgia in September. Like the 3rd week of the season, 4th week of the season. Maybe like the 1st week in October. You made more of a fuss over that win than the fucking loss they had at the beginning of the season against Florida State. And Florida State season completely and utterly shit the bed the rest of the year. And you sat there and told everybody that makes more sense to put them in. Fuck out of here, bro. Fuck out of here, bro. You got what you deserved. You wanted ratings. Oh, you got them ratings because a lot of people was on your ass after that game and said, and you thought this was better for everybody? At least Notre Dame would have put at least a fucking fight up against Indiana. This was ridiculous. Notre Dame has a better defense than Alabama, and they at least had a fucking weapon offensively that you actually wanted to see in Jeremiah Love. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Williams isn't, a weapon I didn't want to see, but there was a time where you could put that bitch in a Cotton Bowl, or you could not Cotton Bowl, but you could have put that nigga in a Texas Bowl, and we could have had a conversation, or you could have put him against Texas again and something. You could have figured something out, but this was just Michigan or something. There's no reason for Alabama to have skipped the process of actually being looked at as a team and saying, no, they do have 3 losses, and 2 of them were really bad fucking losses. It doesn't matter that they beat Georgia earlier in the season. They got blown out when it mattered most. They don't belong. And they have the worst fucking loss. But you got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. NFL. Now, I know a lot of people usually think college football. I usually do my crazy 6. That will not be here because it's only 8 teams now left in college football. So I really can't do the crazy 6. I could, but I just don't think it's a good idea to do one. There's only 4 teams. I'm tripping. Yeah, there's only 4 teams left in college football. So it's not enough time to do a crazy 6. But it will be back next year for college football. So do not worry. It is going to be back next year. And I will be bringing it back also for the NBA. So I will be doing a crazy six for the NBA next episode. So next week, it will be my crazy six for the NBA next week. So yeah, NFL. NFL. Black Monday is living up to its name. Now, of course, you had two head coaches already got fired earlier in the season. Brian Daboll of the Giants and Brian Callahan of the Tennessee Titans. So that was already two coaching jobs open already. Today, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Falcons, the Browns. Yeah, that's four. Yeah. Cardinals, Raiders, Browns, Falcons. Yeah, four. In a total of six. That's a six teams have open coaching positions. And when me and my brother Juan talked about this, uh, we did the show Friday. We thought it could be damn near 16 fucking teams, 15 teams that could be looking for a fucking new head coach. Cincinnati has announced that they're gonna keep their head coach. I think the coach said they're gonna keep their head coach. Um, the only one I'm a little questionable about is Cincinnati. I don't understand why the fuck you would keep Zach Taylor outside of just you are just that fucking cheap and you don't want to get rid of him because you believe because you got to one Super Bowl and two AFC championship games when he first got there, he belongs in some upper echelon. Cincinnati is not going to fire Zach Taylor until the Cincinnati Bengals in utterly collapse. But they will never utterly collapse because you have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, and you will never fucking collapse because you got three guys that can go out there and score 40 fucking points by their fucking selves. But Cincinnati needs change, and them keeping Zach Taylor is a. I don't like the decision. I think it's fucking stupid, and I don't think it's a good idea. There's still Lee is still something out there about the. There's still something about um, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. No word yet on either one. Well, Pittsburgh's in the playoffs, so we're not going to hear anything about Mike Tomlin until the Pittsburgh Steelers run is over. Baltimore, I'll talk about that in a minute. Oh my god, I'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, but there are other coaches I thought would be fired by now. Miami with Mike McDaniel's. Mike McDaniel's. I thought they would have easily fired him in Miami, which I don't know why the fuck they're keeping him around. I don't know why they're doing that. I love Anthony Glenn, but I think Anthony Glenn might get fired. I think the Jets are waiting for some apparent reason. I don't know fucking why. Um, you got three teams in the playoffs right now. Four, really, if you count Pittsburgh. Um, that have coaching situations that could be interesting to see what happens. You got Andy Reid with Kansas City. Is he willing to go through a rebuild with Kansas City to then wait an entire fucking year to get Patrick Mahomes back with a team that he might not be able to win with next year? And by the way, with a better draft class of quarterbacks maybe next year. I'm not saying draft a quarterback, but Kansas City could have a really bad fucking team next year to the point where they're in the top five. And I'm pretty fucking sure there's going to be at least 3 to 4 quarterbacks that's going to be taken in the top five of next motherfucking year. So I'm not saying you trade Patrick fucking Mahomes. Oh, fuck no. But I'm saying that is a question at some point, especially if Kansas City sucks next year, like a lot of us think they probably will, because they have no real true number one quarterback. I don't see you trading and drafting one this year, but I could definitely see Kansas City saying this is a rebuild year or a reload year. Let's get rid of some pieces and let's get ready for next year with Patrick Mahomes. I can see it. I can see them trading Rashad Rice. I can see them trading Rasheed Rice. I can see them trading Trent McDuffie. I can see them trading Chris Jones. I can see them not publicly publicly pressuring Travis Kelce to retire, but privately saying, "Hey, bro, retire, leave. You want to go somewhere else and play football? You go somewhere else and play football, but we cannot have you here." I don't think they're going to do it publicly, but privately, I definitely think they're going to be pressing Travis Kelce to hang it the fuck up. I'm pretty sure of it. Like I said, they're not going to say it publicly. Oh, fuck no. Because they know the backlash they'll get. Not just from the Swifties, but from NFL media. They'll get a massive backlash over over them selling Travis Kelce to basically, you know, hey, it's time to, maybe, mm-hmm, and get the fuck up. Like I said, publicly, they're not going to say that. Privately, I could definitely see Kansas City saying, "Hey, man, you know, let's hang it up here." Todd Bowles is another one. I'm shocked that Tampa Bay has not really said anything about Todd Bowles. You don't have the division like he had the division and then lose. And then on top of that, it's your side of the ball that continuously shows everyone that they're not fucking good. Baker Mayfield has done his fucking job, and yet your side of the ball can't do theirs. That's a problem. I'm shocked Todd Bowles still has a fucking job. I'm shocked Mike McDaniel still has a fucking job. I don't know why the fuck he still has a fucking job. Miami is a fucking dumpster fire, and yet you still want to keep him for some apparent fucking reason. Um, yeah, I'm shocked that it's only four coaches that got fired today. To be honest, that's fucking surprising to me. I'm shocked that it's the four coaches that we kind of expected to get fired. Like I know a lot of people like Raheem Morris should have never got fired. I don't know about that. You gotta put shit into perspective. The fact that you tied the division winner and a runner up with record, but you were mathematically eliminated a month prior, and yet you want to sit there and say that he shouldn't have gotten fired? That's fucking bullshit. Yes, did the defense improve at the end of the year? Yeah, but for the most part, your defense didn't do shit for a very long stretch of time. And again, when it's your side of the ball that you're supposed to be the head honcho of, the person that knows what the fuck he's doing, I don't care that it looks good at the end of the fucking season, especially with the talent that you had, and on top of that, the expectations of the Falcons being this great team this year. Or I don't say great team, this good team this year that can at least compete for the NFC South. And the fact that the Panthers are the ones that's going to the fucking playoffs and you're not, and you have the same damn record, what did y'all expect was going to happen to him? What did you expect was going to happen? And then on top of that, it's about who also you played at the end of the year. They beat us yesterday. They beat the Saints yesterday. But let's be 100. If the Saints had Chris Olave in that game, the Saints beat them no problems. It's not like the fucking Falcons was lighting up the earth on offense like yesterday. They literally offensively is let's try to run Bijan Robinson, keep Kirk Cousins from having to do more than he needs to. And that basically is what the fuck the Falcons are. Run the ball, and the Saints shut that shit down and made the Falcons actually have to throw the football. And they're not particularly great at it. Drake London is a good. I don't think Drake London is a 1. I think he's a 2. He's a really good fucking 2. But at some point, you're going to have to ask the question, can he be your number 1? And I don't think Drake London is a 1. I think he's a good 2. He's a good 2. If you were to make a trade and go get a Tariq Hill or a Justin Jefferson, or, now you're like, oh, shit, like, this is an offense. Like, this is cooking. But, yeah, the Falcons' defense, you're trying to sit there and say, well, they look good at the end of the year. Why would they fire him? Y'all forget the Falcons gave the Seattle Seahawks, whose offense has been fucking putrid the last couple of weeks. The Seattle Seahawks scored 37 fucking points against the Falcons defense 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago, Seattle scored 37 goddamn points. Okay, that's before the winning streak. And then they played. Who they played? They played some sorry ass team. I want to say the Jets. It was somebody I saw they played. They played somebody, and that's the first game they won. And then they played. Tampa, and Tampa pissed that game away, which is why I said Ty Bowles needs to get fucking fired. They pretty much pissed that game away in the division because then the division wasn't in their hands anymore because they lost to the fucking Falcons. And you lost to Kirk Cousins. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And you lost to the Falcons. And then the Falcons played. Fuck the Falcons played. They played us last. And they played the Rams. And the Rams defensively is just not fucking good. Like, I get people want to sit here and say, oh, the Rams, the Rams, Rams. The Rams have a great front four. They're kind of like Tampa. A good front four. Their secondary is fucking terrible. You can throw on their secondary. Their secondary is not some game-changing, life-altering secondary. You can throw on that secondary, and it will be easy fucking money. I am surprised a lot of these coaching jobs. The Raiders have the number one pick, and they needed to get rid of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was not going to do anything with the Raiders, and you bought him in. You thought it was going to be a great hire, and it fucking didn't work. Okay, it is what it is. Let's move on. I like that. It didn't work. We're going to admit this. It didn't fucking work. Let's just move on. Cardinals, same. It was time for a new change with the Arizona Cardinals. It was just time for a new change with the Arizona Cardinals. Excuse me. It's just time. Jonathan Gannon again was supposed to be a defensive guy. And by the way, if I am the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not saying you get rid of Vic Fangio, but you bring Jonathan Gannon back under the regime and have him be just a guy there. He fits that regime. He knows the players. He knows the situation. He can go into Vic Fangio and come and be a position coach like corner, which you fucking desperately need help in corners because the corner position sucks in Philly. Outside of Quentin Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, they have really no corners. Like this shit is god awful. Um, who else? The Titans, Giants. They've been had no coach for like literally 6, 7, 8 weeks, so it's not really that surprising. I said the Falcons. Who else? Browns. I'm not surprised Kevin Stefanski got fired. That was not that surprising at all. I think people that, but this party that y'all are throwing on social media because Kevin Stefanski's gone, and that now means Shador Sanders is about to unlock this unbeatable fucking sports character that you niggas have made up in y'all heads about this kid. Shador Sanders is all right. Next year, he's going to get a chance to play. Well, first, he's going to actually have to go through a competition with Dylan Gabriel and whoever the fuck they bring in because they won enough at the end of the season so they can't pick a quarterback at the end of the season. And I think the first three picks are going to be quarterbacks. As much as I don't believe it's a good idea to do so, there's only really two quarterbacks I would draft in the first round this year. And that's Dante Moore. And I still need to see more of him in a big game situation. Dante Moore of Oregon and Fernando Mendoza of Indiana. Those are the only two quarterbacks I physically would draft in the first round. But Ty Simpson is going to get drafted because he's the only other quarterback in this draft class that you can make somewhat of an excuse for. And then on top of that, you're not bound to keep him next year. If you take him, he doesn't pan out. You can literally sit there and say, well, we were already the third we were just sitting there at third. He was there. We took him, but he clearly isn't the guy. We can now pick first, second, or third again if you're the Cardinals, let's say, and we could take a quarterback here. Fuck it. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, well, they got Kyler Murray. They might take Jeremiah Love. If you learned anything about the Denver Broncos the last 2 years, I've always said this: you never double down on a fuck up. Russell Wilson, Sean Payton tried, knew he wasn't the guy, said, you know what? Yes, the salary cap hit is going to bite us in the ass for at least a year or two, but I'd rather go get a fucking quarterback that I actually want than a fucking quarterback I know damn well I don't need anymore. Sometimes you just got to fucking say, you know what? This ain't it. The Cardinals are in that situation. The Browns are in that situation with Deshaun Watson. You cannot hold on to fucking people just because you don't want to admit that you fucked up. Fuck the money. Because a lot of people think it's the money. No, there's a lot of these teams that don't want to admit they fucked up. They fucked up on drafting this kid. They fucked up on trading for this dude. They fucked up, and they don't want to admit that they fucked up. Tua, same thing with Tua. Miami Tua with Tua. You fucked up, and it's okay. You fucked up. You paid a dude knowing damn well he was never going to live up to that money. You knew he wasn't going to live up to that money. You knew it. You can't be in practice every fucking day watching this dude play, throwing the football, and not know, this dude just isn't fucking it. When you already had problems on Kyler Murray, and then you got to realize the drama of Kyler Murray way back when he was getting drafted. That was a time where nobody knew if he was even going to be a fucking quarterback. That was talks to him being in fucking baseball. Which, by the way, he could still go play baseball because he's only, 25, 26? So if he decides to leave and go play fucking baseball right now with the Oakland Athletics, who still hold his fucking rights, he gonna make lots of fucking money in fucking baseball, bro. He does not need to be an NFL quarterback. So if you decide to let his ass go today or tomorrow, he got a job. He can go to fucking baseball and be a fucking shortstop right the fuck now. And the Oakland Athletics kind of fucking need him. So it's not, it ain't like he will be hurting for fucking money. Like, if he wants to go somewhere and do something else, he can easily fucking do it. You have to admit that you fucked up. It's okay. And again, like I said, a lot of these people that sit here and say, oh, it's the money. They will never just get rid of a person because of the money. Hey, bro, if the Denver Broncos showed you anything, we need to admit we fucked up. We probably paid somebody that shouldn't have fucking had this job. Let's just move on. Yes, is it going to be a fucking cap hit for the next 2 years? Yep, it's going to suck. It's going to fucking suck. But if we draft a quarterback this year, maybe even have to draft one next year, at least we know one thing. We're in a fucking rebuild. And sometimes, just sometimes, it pans the fuck out if you're the Denver fucking Broncos. It pans and on top of that, it goes into also having a good head coach in Sean Payton. In a fucking amazing defense. So in a fucking amazing defense. But if I'm the Cardinals, man, listen, man, if I gotta lose Kyler Murray this year and not trade, and I can't get a trade for him, hey, bro, I'm not afraid to move the fuck on for Kyler Murray, bro. I think people get that twisted. Like, y'all have to stop trying to say because the money tells me they're not going to move off of him. Fuck that. If you ain't fucking working, you ain't fucking working. I'm not about to sit here and continue to have you as my quarterback when you ain't shown me yet you want to be it. Fuck the money. Yeah, we fucked up. We paid you. We probably shouldn't have. We paid you, and we probably shouldn't have. That's our fuck up. That's our fault. I wish more teams would do what Denver did. Denver understood, hey, man, Sean Payton came in 1 year with Russell Wilson, said, you know what? This ain't it. This ain't it. Cut the card. Fuck it. 1 year, he saw it. He was like, yep, this ain't it. This ain't it. We're going to cut him. All that money. Everybody was talking for years. It was, Denver, they're going to get fucked. It's not going to pan out for them. For the last 2 years, they made it to the wild card and now have the number one fucking seed in the AFC. Sometimes, just sometimes, it's not about the fucking money. It's about the fucking decisions of the organization moving forward. Kyler Murray needs to go. Deshaun Watson needs to go. You need Tua Tagovailoa needs to go. Deal with that shit later. But for the now, the money situation, it is what it is. And like I said, it's not like the Cardinals are gonna fix this shit in 2 years. It ain't like the fucking Miami Dolphins are gonna fix this shit in 2 years. It's not like the Browns are gonna fix this shit in 3 years. The Browns haven't fixed this shit in 30. How the fuck you gonna fix it in two? Like, Browns haven't fixed this shit in 30 years. How the fuck you gonna fix it in two? You can easily move the fuck on. It's okay. You fucked up. Don't double down on the fuck up. Don't triple down. If you triple down on your fuck up, you are just stupid, and you should not even have a fucking job in the NFL. Fuck that. You shouldn't have a job nowhere. you 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 shouldn't even have a job anywhere near something that actually makes more money. Like you shouldn't have a fucking job. That's ridiculous. You triple down on the fuck up. That's just stupid. That's just now I gotta question you. Now I gotta question your mental fucking stability. Like God Almighty, do you triple down on the fuck up? Double down is stupid already. Triple down? Ooh, holy fuck, kid! Like you just ooh, they need to fire his ass today. Nah, nigga, today. Soon as he touched the building. Matter of fact, don't even let him touch the building. Say his ass in his house. Like you can call him. That's one of those calls you make. Like, hey, bro, you fucked up already. We not doing this with you no more. The Browns situation is not good. They have two young cornerstone players with Junkins and Harold Fanning Jr. They hit on those two draft picks. They also hit on Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. I think they drafted a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken. I think they did. Can't remember. They hit on some draft picks, man. Like the Browns hit on some draft picks. But that offense is just fucking abysmal, and they're not gonna fix it. And I know people are gonna sit here and say, and this is what I said a couple weeks before this. I said that Shedeur Sanders, the best thing for Shedeur Sanders is the fact that the Browns are so fucking bad, and they are so fucking terrible. And the best thing for Shedeur Sanders fans is that the Browns have actually won two of the last 4 or 5 games because they put themselves in such a position where now you're bad, you're fucking terrible, you're in a rebuild, but you can't draft a fucking quarterback. And plus, on top of that, you're not in a position where a quarterback is needed now. You still need one, but it's not to the point where you're forcing yourself to now take one. I don't know what the Browns. I think the Browns are like fifth. I think the Browns are fifth. I gotta look at the draft order again. I think the Browns are like fifth. I don't think they're like, but yeah, fifth or sixth. Yeah, but they're not moving anywhere close to the. They don't need a quarterback. Like I said, the first two quarterbacks are gone by the time the Browns get on the clock, so you don't have to worry about that. And maybe the third quarterback is also fucking gone by the time you get on the fucking clock. So you're not going to be in a position to force yourself into drafting a quarterback. So the best thing for Shedeur Sanders and the new head coach is, at least you now know you got Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders for at least a year. You could put them under your offensive regime and see what happens. And they're going to go into football camp, and you're going to have an open challenge. And I know people don't want to hear that. Oh, Shedeur is going to be the number one quarterback. No, the fuck he is not. If you do not go in there and have a fucking quarterback open challenge, and finally have one, not just this, it's Dylan Gabriel third and Shedeur is going to be on the no, actually have a fucking quarterback competition between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And maybe you sign a free agent. Maybe you bring one in. I'm not saying go sign Mac Jones. Fuck no. You need to lose. You need to have a bad team. Because this team is not getting better next fucking year. Despite what people believe in their heart of hearts. This team is not going to be good next year. Defensively, I've never had to question the Browns defensively. The Browns defense is great. They've always been great. The offense sucks. And it's a lot of questions that you're going to have. Not just the Junkins and the Harold Fanning Jr. shit. That's set in stone. You have no offensive line. And I can't even tell you that you have a number one receiver. I know Jerry Jeudy is supposed to be one, but he's not really a number one. Jerry Jeudy's not a number one. He's good. He's a two. Like I just said about Drake London, he's a good two. Now Jerry Jeudy's one of I'm Atlanta. I go trade. And that's still not a number one, but you got two really good twos. That's good enough. That's that's good enough. I mean, that works. Look at Jacksonville. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is a real one, but Jacoby Myers is a good two. Like if you got two solid twos, that's not bad. That's not a bad situation. It's not bad at all. If I was the Browns, I would look into trading Jerry Jeudy. I would sit there and say, you know what, this ain't working. He's not going to fit. He clearly doesn't want to fucking be here. There are certain games where he just doesn't want to be here. So if that is the case, there's teams that would definitely look into Jerry Jeudy. One team in particular that I think would definitely look into Jerry Jeudy, depending on how the depending on how the season goes for them, particularly, is the Seattle Seahawks. I can definitely see Seattle saying, "Let's go get Jerry Jeudy." Jackson Smith and Jigba is the one. We don't have to worry about that. But Jerry Jeudy is a higher echelon two. He's a really good two. He would fit this team perfectly. He would do exactly what we need him to do. And again, it depends on the season, particularly the postseason of the Seattle Seahawks. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns and Seattle calls me and says, "Hey, what about Jerry Jeudy?" Whatever they fucking offer me, if it's a high two, maybe a low first round, I make that deal. I make that deal. I don't think you're gonna get a high fucking two for Jerry Jeudy. Fuck no, because his attitude doesn't deserve a two. But if you get a high, if you could kind of somehow some way maneuver a two out of these motherfuckers, take the second round. Take the second round, nigga. Take the second rounder, jump up and down, celebrate, kiss the babies, and retire. Go sit your ass on a beach somewhere because you're not going to get a quarterback this year in a draft. I don't think you should. That'd be very stupid to get a quarterback in the draft when you have still Shador and Dylan Gabriel there. And you're basically telling everybody that you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Especially if you're going to now again reach for a quarterback. Now, if Ty Simpson falls to 5 or 6, I still wouldn't take him. I just can't take him. I can't take Ty Simpson. And so and same thing with I think Gunnar Stockton. I think it's coming out as well. I think Gunnar Stockton and you got Carson Beck possibly also coming out in this draft. Especially if Carson Beck kind of wins the national championship this year, I can see Carson Beck definitely. You know, I could definitely see Carson Beck. Saying I'm going into the draft, and now Carson Beck is the third quarterback possibly taken off the board. Not because he's good at it, or it's just more so he's got the experience. He's been in high pressure situations. He's got the experience. He's been in high pressure situations. And if you look at the somewhat ceiling of Carson Beck, it's better than fucking Ty Simpson's. So yeah. And if that happens, if Carson Beck goes off, wins a national championship, and comes out in the draft, now the Browns do have something to play with because now that is something. I'm not saying Carson Beck is better than Shador or Dylan Gabriel, but if you sit there and tell me Carson Beck or fucking Shador Sanders, I'm like, maybe Carson Beck, maybe. Again, you're not. Again, you're fucking picking the lowest ceiling of these two. Like who has a little bit more upside, and if some people gonna sit there and say it's Shador, I don't think that. I think Carson Beck has been in way more important games. He's been in more shootouts. He's been in more situations where he's had to show up. He's had to be the guy. Where Shador has not. And I think that will play into existence at some point. That somebody's going to sit there and say, well, his experience outweighs maybe his own uh, ability in the game. But I would take Carson Beck. I don't know. I would probably drive Carson Beck. I'm not gonna lie. I said another quarterback. I forgot. Gunnar Stockton, which I think Gunnar Stockton might stay another year in Georgia. under that situation. But if he did decide to come out, that's a second rounder. I don't think he's a first round guy. That's a second rounder. I know a lot of people sitting there thinking Carson Beck is a fucking second rounder, but to me, in this terrible draft class for quarterbacks, Carson Beck just moved himself into the third position, especially again if they win a fucking national championship. That really does go farther than people want to, especially nowadays. The fact that he went into Texas A&M, beat Texas A&M, beat Ohio State. If he beats Ole Miss and then he actually beats Indiana or Oregon in the championship game, that's four teams that you can sit there physically and say, he actually beat them. Like he beat them. And that will actually raise his stock better than anything he could have done at Georgia. That's just facts. Eyes on football. Eyes on football, man. You already know. Four. Skeptical game of the week. My most interesting game of the week. Upset game of the week. In my game of the week. Let's get into it, man. Let's start this off. Skeptical game of the week. It is the Bills versus the Jaguars. Yep. Bills versus Jaguars. That is my skeptical game of the week. The Bills are the sixth seed in the AFC after winning last night and beating the Jets. They officially are the sixth seed in the AFC. The Jacksonville Jaguars won the AFC South. They did not lose it. They won the AFC South. And they're on a 8-game winning streak going into the playoffs. 7-8 game winning streak going into the playoffs, and they will be hosting the Buffalo Bills this upcoming. I want to say Sunday. I think it's Sunday. They will be playing the Buffalo Bills this upcoming Sunday. I think it's the first game of the Sunday slate. I think they got 3 games Sunday. But this is my skeptical game of the week. It's the Bills versus the Jags. Why is this a skeptical game? This is the game that is the most interesting to me in a sense of skeptical. The reason why I call it skeptical is because I don't know who wins this game. Now, logic tells me it's supposed to be the Bills. The Bills obviously supposed to win this game. They're the most experienced. They've been in these situations before. Josh Allen, James Cook, Sean McDermott, they are supposed to be that team. Here's where the problem lies. I don't think the Bills are. Now, a lot of people have said that there's no more built-in excuses. Josh Allen needs to win the Super Bowl this year, at least make it to the Super Bowl this year. He has no built-in excuses outside of Aaron Rodgers and C.J. Stroud. Josh Allen has the most playoff wins out of any quarterback. Multiple wins by a quarterback in the AFC. Trevor Lawrence has 1. Justin Herbert has been to 2 playoffs. This will be his 3rd year, and he's never won a playoff game. Drake May, this is his first time in the playoffs. Bo Nix got to the playoffs last year and lost his first game against Buffalo. Yeah. Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, and CJ Stroud's only won in his 3 years. He's only won 2 games, and both of them were at home. He beat the Browns and he beat the Chargers last year. So this is basically all on the Buffalo Bills. They have a winning streak. They're coming in. I mean, the Jaguars have a winning streak. They're coming in, but the Bills have the veteranship of this situation. They've been in the playoffs. They've been in these types of situations. They need to win. Will they? I don't know. I don't know if the Bills can actually beat the Jaguars. And it's crazy to say that because I have no faith in Trevor Lawrence. I have no faith in Trevor Lawrence. But I think the Jaguars defense can give the Bills a problem. And I think that's where the fuck the problem lies. I don't think the Jaguars are going to a fucking Super Bowl by no stretch of the imagination. But I do think it's going to give them a bit of a fucking problem. If you can stop James Cook, you're forcing Josh Allen to do more than he wants to fucking do. And it's the same rule with Trevor Lawrence. If you stop the running game of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're forcing Trevor Lawrence to do more than he wants to do. This is basically which quarterback has to do more with less and try to figure it out. I don't know. Me and my brother Juan got to pick this Friday, and I have no idea. But this is going to be a pretty interesting game to see because this is the first time in a long time Josh Allen is actually on the road to start off his playoff career. Because people forget his only times on the road in his playoff careers, early in his playoff careers, he wasn't particularly great at it. And you put him in an environment where he's going to have to be literally the offense. So, yeah. Most interesting game of the week. It is Oregon versus Indiana. These two teams played earlier this year in Eugene, Oregon. Indiana, of course, won that game. What is this game going to look like in a second time? Now, it's extremely tough to beat a team twice in a season. But I think Indiana's gotten better since that game in Eugene, Oregon. I'm not saying Oregon got worse, but I think Indiana's gotten extremely better. I think Indiana is extremely a different caliber of team. And again, Oregon really hasn't had too many games where Oregon has been in crazy games. Texas Tech did it. Like I said, Texas Tech basically, gave fucking Oregon that game. They didn't really do shit in that game. They gave up so many fucking turnovers that Oregon offense really didn't have to do anything. The week prior, Oregon's offense was scored 56 fucking points against James Madison, but the defense gave up 35. Indiana has shown you this whole season that they don't turn the ball over, and they're very consistent that way. They're very consistent that way. And Fernando Mendoza has a different level of respect and gear shift than people give him credit for. And I think he can actually get it done. But Dante Moore, this is the game for you, man. This is the game that proves that, yeah, even though Fernando Mendoza has the Heisman, he has the number one team, I'm the better quarterback. It's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait to see this game. It's going to be pretty goddamn interesting to see. The first one was great. Let's see how this is going. Upset game of the week. Rams versus Panthers. Let's get into it. I know people are going to be like, what the fuck you just say? Rams versus Panthers. This is my upset game of the week. So when the Panthers beat the Rams a couple of weeks ago, right? In Carolina, by the way, where this game is going to be. The Panthers were not supposed to win that game. They were not. But it sparked the Panthers to finally wake the fuck up and get something going. The Panthers have beaten a lot of teams they're not supposed to fucking beat for some apparent reason. I don't know what it is, especially at home. That's another thing. They've beaten a lot of teams at home that they're not supposed to beat. They beat Tampa. They drummed Atlanta 30-0. Like, there are certain games where the Panthers are not supposed to be there. And I get it. You're looking at the records of these two teams, and you're saying to yourself, as the records look, the Panthers are supposed to just get drummed. They're not supposed to even be in this game. It's supposed to be a fucking blowout. It's not even supposed to be close. But I want people to understand something. Since that game between the Rams and the Panthers, even though the Panthers have been up and fucking down, the Panthers have found some confidence in what they are. The Rams have not. The Rams have not. The one problem with the Rams is that secondary is fucking terrible. The one thing about the Panthers that they love is Bryce Young throws a fucking deep ball. And the fact of the matter is the Rams secondary has not been great. And it cannot be great. And it's been proven if you throw the ball on the Rams, you can probably fucking run them off the field. It's not that hard. That front four is great. Nobody's telling you that the front four is not great. That front four is impeccable. Yeah. But you can get to the Rams. You can get to them in that secondary. And that's why the fuck I say a lot of people that don't understand. The Panthers can actually beat the Rams. Now, I'm not saying they will. Oh no. I'm not saying that they will, but I think people have gotten this misconstrued because again, like I said, you're seeing the record. You're saying the Panthers shouldn't even be in the playoffs. All of this shit. I've heard all these buzzwords my entire life. Particularly, I want to go back to again Seattle and the Saints. The Seattle Seahawks. Everybody remembers this game because of the Beastquake. Marshawn Lattimore breaking all the tackles, running up and down, running up the field, scoring a touchdown. Shit was crazy, right? Everybody remembers that game. Do y'all remember the record Seattle had in that game? Seattle was what 7-9. The Saints were like 11-5, and I think we only lost the division. I think we lost the division. I forgot who the fuck we lost the division to. I think Carolina. No, I think Carolina. We lost to somebody, but we lost the division to somebody, and we had to play on the road. But Seattle was 7-9 that year. Seattle was just like Carolina. Wasn't supposed to be in the playoffs. People was like, "What the fuck are they gonna do? We need to find a way to get them out the playoffs." And we don't know until these fucking teams get on the football field and they fucking play. We don't know, and we need to stop saying it like we do. The Rams have not fixed shit since that game that happened in Carolina weeks ago, and now you're going back to Carolina with the same fucking defense that you had that torched your ass, and you expect this game to be easier for the fucking Rams? Here's the thing: Carolina don't have to change shit. They know how to beat you. You're the one that has to fix the shit, and that's why I think the Rams can get got in this week. I know people think that's fucking crazy. I know when I post this, people are gonna be like, "Boy, you tripping? You don't know shit. You don't know where." The Rams defense has gotten fucking worse. That is something I do know. That secondary has sucked. That's something I do know. And you know it too. There's nothing about the Rams that fucking puts the fear of God in anyone. But let the fucking NFL media tell you, oh, the Rams, they're special. They're gonna nigga, tell me one game since that game against the Panthers that the Rams have absolutely positively dominated. You lost to Atlanta, and it wasn't even fucking close. Like, it was a time where Atlanta was beating your ass 17-0. That was only 2 weeks ago. It will be 2 weeks since the Rams beat the shit out, the Falcons beat the shit out of you on Monday Night Football. And it literally took you to the end of the fucking game to even get that competitive. It took you the entire second half just to get to the fucking Falcons. Bro, I'm not saying the Rams are not going to dominate and they can't dominate the Panthers, but for this mindset that the Rams are just going to walk in and beat the shit out the Panthers, y'all said that same shit a couple weeks ago, and the fucking Panthers beat that ass. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't trust the Rams in the fucking playoffs, and that's something I'm gonna talk about also in this NFL postseason in a minute when I get to my levels of warning and shit. But y'all with this, the Rams are just gonna walk through the Panthers shit. Y'all are the good type of idiots. Y'all are the good type of idiots because you're looking at just the fucking record and what you perceive this game is going to be. When I already saw this game and nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. The Rams did not get better defensively in 5 fucking weeks, 7 fucking weeks, whenever the fuck they played each other. The Rams did not get better defensively in the last 5 fucking weeks. And the Panthers have somewhat of a confidence boost because they've already beat them. I'm not saying they're going to beat them again. But if they do, I would not be surprised. In my game of the week, take it back to college, and that is Miami versus Ole Miss. Oh, you know, hearing people talk down on Lane Kiffin is funny. He is the new LSU head coach, which means he's coaching my team next year. I talked about this yesterday on my Bleed Black and Gold show. I don't like Lane Kiffin as a head coach. I think he sucks. I don't think Lane Kiffin's good. I don't. I know it sounds absolutely crazy to a lot of people. I don't think Lane Kiffin's a good head coach. I just don't. I think he could build it. He can't win with it. Um, yeah. Again, he could prove me wrong, and all these transfers and all these things that's happening right now could be definitely the craziest thing, and he could win a championship and all this other shit. But for what I've seen of Lane Kiffin in his entire career, he's had 3 teams in the SEC: Tennessee, Ole Miss, and now LSU. Has this motherfucker won with any of those teams? And LSU's just starting. But has he won with Ole Miss or Tennessee? No. Then nigga, I don't think you're gonna ever be that guy. Then you had USC, and you were supposed to bring them back to prominence, and then that shit fucking blew up in your face. So no, I don't think Lane Kiffin is great. It's been too much proof to show everyone that he's getting a lot of credit for some shit he never fucking done. But do your thing. Miami and Ole Miss. This is gonna be a good fucking game. I don't know who wins this game. I have not a clue. I do not know who wins this game. And it's crazy to sit there and say I don't know who wins this game because I don't fucking know who's gonna win this game. I like Miami's defense way more than I like Ole Miss's, but I like Ole Miss offense way more than I like Miami's. so so we got an impasse. We got a bit of a problem here because I like the quarterback from Ole Miss way more than I like Carson Beck. But Carson Beck again, the experience of Carson Beck is going to probably play into this, just like it was in Ohio State. He has experience, man. As much as you don't probably like it, he does have experience. And on top of that, he's played Ole Miss in his career. He knows how Ole Miss likes to formulate a defense around and trying to stop him. I don't know how Miami's going to handle this game, but I will say this. If they can keep the quarterback in somewhat of the pocket and make him actually have to be a thrower of the ball, Miami can win this game. Again, I don't know who wins. This is going to be probably the hardest game to see this whole week because I'm a huge fan of Miami. This is the last SEC team, and I am an SEC kid. So we shall see. We shall see. But if Miami gets to the championship, oh, you bet I'm talking big shit next week. Oh, I'm talking big shit on this podcast. What? Talking cash shit. Oh my God. What? I'm talking crazy. Oh, I'm talking crazy next week. If Miami gets to the fucking college championship game. Because I'm gonna sit there and say, you motherfuckers sat there and tried to tell everybody under the sun Miami was not good. Or Miami. ACC literally had these motherfuckers in a 6-way tie, and you sat there and told everybody that Duke deserved to be. All right, bro. I'm talking cash next week though. If Miami makes it to the if Miami makes it to the championship game, ooh, y'all ain't gonna hear shit. Y'all gonna hear, oh my God, y'all ain't gonna hear shit. Y'all gonna hear nothing but craziness. I'm be like, fuck the college committee. The motherfuckers don't know shit. They need to shut the fuck up. You might as well go back to the motherfucking computers. BCS was better. Oh, it's going down. Oh, it's going down. If Miami makes the championship, bro. Put that shit in a box. Put that shit in a box. Big four of the NFL. These are my 4 teams. I don't do 6. I don't do 10. I do 4. Let's get into it. And number 1, kicking out the list. It is the New England Patriots, 14-3. They finished with the 2nd seed. Fuck, we were right there. Right the fuck there. We were right there to get that number 1 seed. But we got the 2nd seed, and we played the Chargers this week. Listen, y'all already know. If you've listened to I Believe Sports this whole year, you already know how I feel about the Patriots. I think the Patriots are the best team in the NFL. I thought the Patriots had the best offseason. I thought the Patriots had the best draft. I thought the Patriots were great. I think people that sit here and tell me about a fucking schedule that they had is fucking stupid. The Saints had the easiest schedule. The Atlanta Falcons had the 2nd easiest schedule. And both of their asses are watching the fucking playoffs right now. Tennessee had an easy schedule too. And they're picking fucking 4 in the draft right now. Schedule, yes. The schedule means something. But that they had a easy schedule shit only works in fucking college. That shit don't mean nothing in the NFL, bro. Everybody's getting paid to be on a motherfucking football field. Everybody is trying to cash a check, and everybody is showing up Sundays to put your fucking head in the ground. They don't give a fuck. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Everybody's sitting up there. And if these niggas go in there and beat the shit out the Chargers, I don't want to hear a motherfucking peep from you niggas. I'm sick and fucking tired of that shit. Oh, that schedule. Bruh, they were the what? They picked what? Third, fourth last year in the NFL? What the fuck did you think the schedule was going to look like this year? But let's get this shit out the way. Stop telling me their schedule. Fuck off. Jags have a fucking easy schedule. I ain't heard not a motherfucking fucking peep from you niggas. You realize the Jags also had an easy fucking schedule this year? I ain't heard a fucking peep from you niggas. Why hear a peep? Jags got the same easy ass schedule as the fucking Patriots, nigga. I ain't hear a motherfucking peep. I wonder fucking why. I ain't hear a fucking peep. I ain't hear a goddamn whistle. Nothing. Jags got the same ass easy ass schedule as the fucking Patriots. I ain't hear a motherfucking peep. Not a motherfucking word. Patriots are 1. 2. The Seattle Seahawks. They are 14-3. They're on the bye. They got the number 1 seed. They beat San Francisco this Saturday. They got the number 1 seed. Won the NFC West with Sam Darnold and that incredible defense of Seattle. Sam Darnold is their downfall. Let's get that shit out the way. I've said this numerous times on this fucking podcast. You could miss me with that shit. Sam Darnold will not be the reason why Seattle, if they get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, he will not be the reason. I'm sorry to tell y'all that. He will not be the reason. He is literally along for the fucking ride. If you watch that game Saturday and you still trying to tell me or convince me that Sam Darnold is the reason for why they won that game, nigga, you don't know football. You don't know football. You like the position, but you don't know football. Like, there is no way in hell you sitting up there trying to tell me Sam Darnold is the reason for why the Seattle Seahawks are 14-3. Especially the last couple of fucking weeks. Because that offense has sucked. And that defense has carried the fuck out them. There was one game where these niggas had 26 points. And Sam Darnold on the offense had 100 fucking yards. And they won the game 26-0. At home. Against a rookie backup. Now, granted, Brian Flores is just that fucking dude. And he should get a fucking job. And hopefully he does get the job with the Raiders, because that shit will be goated. But we need to stop this shit. 14-3, yeah, great. But the pressure's on. And I'm going to tell you, man, depending on who Seattle plays in the second round, that divisional round, which right now it's Panthers or Rams, that's who they will play. If everything holds up, San Francisco could play them again. And the 7th seed is the Packers. If you think the Packers could get past the Bears this week, then okay. If you think the 49ers could get past the Eagles, then okay. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of, and I just said, I don't know, the Panthers could beat the Rams. But if the Rams play the Seahawks again, Seattle's not winning that game. Sorry to tell y'all that. Seattle's not winning that game. Seattle's going to get destroyed. Seattle's going to get their ass Seattle's going to get their ass handed to them. Yeah. But Seattle's second. Third, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 13-4. They play against, of course, like I said, the Buffalo Bills. Jacksonville won, 7-8 straight games, some shit like that. Got in the playoffs, won a division. Great for them. This year has shown me particularly there have been a lot of fucking winning streaks. And I mean a lot of them. And that is kind of why I'm having a hard time believing anybody's a good fucking team because there's too many fucking winning streaks. Like, and again, like I said, you look at the teams that the Jags have played. Like, again, you're looking at again, who the fuck have the Jags played, my nigga? Like, again, people gonna sit there and say, well, they played who, nigga, who? Who have the Jags played? Good, Kansas City, I guess. You really want to use Kansas City as some fucking, threshold for this season? I guess, nigga. I fucking guess. Who has the Jags played this year, bro? They played the AFC West and the NFC. Say the NFC West. Who have the Jags played, bro? I'm sorry to those that make us this may concern, but this shit is bad, bro. 13-4, coming in with an 8-game winning streak. Like I said, if they can beat the Buffalo Bills, great. Happy for them. But if I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna walk into the fucking playoffs and walk through everyone, if they play Houston in the AFC Championship game, because that's the only way they can play Houston at this moment, I got the Texans, no questions about it. I got the Texans, no questions about it. If they play, I'm trying to think who's the. It's play the Patriots. I got the Patriots, no questions about it. Their best situation is playing the Bills. Because if you beat the Bills, then people will sit there and say, well, maybe the Jags are the best team in the league. No, they're not. They just played a really bad team. That's it. But they're 10-4 and they're third on my list. Congratulations. Number 4 is the Denver Broncos, and they're 14-3, and they got to buy, and they are just like the Jaguars. I don't trust these niggas. I actually trust their defense way more than I trust the fucking Jaguars defense. I'll tell you that fucking much. But Bo Nix is a very I don't fucking know quarterback. I don't trust Bo Nix. I don't trust the Broncos offense. I still don't trust the motherfuckers. I don't care what you look at in that and what the fuck you believe. The Broncos are just not good offensively. Yeah, they have some moments. They've had their games. Have they turned it around the last couple games or so, weeks or so, offensively? I guess. I guess. Again, this playoffs is so fucking weird because it's young quarterbacks and teams and all this other shit, but it's also you can't really pinpoint who the fuck is a good team. You A lot of these teams have a really good defense, but they don't have a great offense. They have a very above average offense, like the Denver Broncos or the Jaguars. And the Jaguars have an okay defense. They have a pretty okay average defense. Bills the same. Bills are pretty fucking a lot of these teams are fucking average. Like if you were to tell me these are the final teams of the AFC, it's just like, oh my god. But the Broncos are 14-3. They got the number 1 seed. They're on a bye. Congratulations. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but I guess. I'd fucking guess, dude. I don't know what you want me to. It's just, oh, okay, God Almighty. We gotta watch this shit. By the way, we have to actually watch this shit. Oh, good God Almighty. They lucky I love football because this shit will be a fucking disaster if I had to watch this shit. Um, that was a warning. The NFL. That was a warning in the NFL. Yellow, caution, orange, panic time, and red is good old DOA. Let's start this, man. Yellow, caution. It is the Los Angeles Rams. They are 12-5. And like I said, they play this week. And the playoffs, they go to Carolina. Listen, man. I don't trust the Rams secondary. I don't trust the Rams defense. Yes, Matthew Stafford is great. Puka Nakua is one of the best receivers in the NFL. For Devontae Adams, when Devontae Adams is healthy, dude is untouchable still. They can also run the ball. But I believe if the Rams have to be in a fucking shootout at some point, that offense cannot outscore someone. And I think that that's so much what people believe, that you can just outscore somebody, and that's just how you have to win games. Not in the fucking playoffs. You can't just outscore someone in the playoffs. If they play the way that I think they could win and get to a Super Bowl, which is run the ball, control the clock, do not put their defense in any position where they have to do more than what the fuck they can actually physically fucking do, then you should be good and you should win a game and you should be okay. But again, you're putting this Rams team into a situation where the offense is really fucking good. The front four of the defense is really fucking good. That back end is just fucking god awful. And you're sitting there thinking, well, they could just fix it, and they're gonna fix it. But we're in the playoffs. There is no fixing this shit. You are who you are. You are who you are, and that's not fixing that shit. And like I said, yeah, they get past the Panthers, depending on how the Packers game and the Packers Bears and the Eagles Niners game play out. They could be going back to Seattle, where all of this shit kind of started. But again, you're on the road for most of the fucking postseason. If you gotta go back to Philly, if Philly somehow, some way makes it to the NFC Championship game, that's their kryptonite. They can't beat the fucking Eagles for nothing. I don't know what it is. They can't beat the Eagles for shit. And the Eagles figured out a way to beat them, which is throw the ball against their fucking secondary. Their secondary is god awful, and they know that. So I can see the teams taking a lot of shots at this secondary, and I mean a lot of shots. Orange panning time, and that's the Chargers. 11-6. I am not picking on the LA teams. I swear to God, I'm not picking on the LA teams. But they have very concerning situations. The Chargers situation is very concerning to me because, again, Justin Herbert has never won a playoff game. Never won a playoff game. He's never shown up when it mattered most. And you're now trying to tell me, with no offensive line, a barely there running game, and still really no number one receiver, he's just gonna magically win a fucking playoff game against the Patriots. Now again, the Patriots could basically shoot themselves in the foot this game. Now I've seen games where I believed in the team and they shot themselves in the foot. They did more damage to them than the fucking other team could ever do. But if the Patriots play the way that I think the Patriots can play, which is run the ball, control the clock, make the defense have to step up and stop you. The Chargers have no The Chargers have no offensive line, which is a very problematic situation going into fucking New England when it's cold as fuck outside, and you're asking the offense to play pretty much perfect football with an offensive line, a barely there running game, and a up and down receiving core. Good fucking luck. And also Justin Herbert with a broken fucking left hand still. He kind of had surgery on it. You're asking this team to do too much, and that's been the last 3 seasons for the Chargers. Every time they got in the playoffs, this has been the kind of the downfall of the Chargers. The defense was terrible, the offense was okay, but the defense was sucked. Or the you know the defense could do enough, but the offense just couldn't. The offense didn't have weapons. So it's always something with the Patriots. Now, with the Chargers, it's always something with the Chargers. It's always something. And that is offensive line. You're bringing in a makeshift offensive line to a really good defense. And again, Mike Vrabel knows how to handle playoff games in situations like this. This isn't a fucking rookie head coach that don't know what the fuck he's doing. He's been in these situations before. So I'm pretty sure he's going to do enough to get the Patriots where they need to be. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and say the Patriots outright beat the Chargers. Fuck no. I know the NFL, any given Sunday, anything can happen. But the Patriots running the ball like they've been running it effectively the last couple of weeks. Drake May has not put himself in any position where he's been a turnover machine. And that defense of the Patriots are not bad. This is going to be a hard game for the fucking Chargers, bro. Again, this is the third time Justin Herbert's been in the playoffs, and every time he's been in the playoffs, he's been on the fucking road and having to do something he might not be able to fucking do. That's a problem. and red is DOA, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 889. Tampa Bay is got to be the funniest fucking team. Like I said, the coach said they're gonna keep their people. I don't know what the fuck the holdup is for Tampa Bay. I would not have kept Todd Bowles. I'm sorry. Yes, has he won a division the last couple of years? Yeah, but what the fuck does that matter? You win in the division but getting bounced in the first round. Who cares? Who gives a fuck that you won the division? Okay, we had an extra week to watch them play football. Who gives a fuck? Like, who cares? You're not winning. You're not winning when it matters most. I don't give a shit that you won the division. And the fact that you actually was 7-2 or 6-2 or some shit like that, and you still lost the division. And yes, injuries and all this other shit. But again, that defense is the downfall. That defense sucks. That secondary of Tampa is terrible. And it's been terrible. And you've never fixed it. And like I said, you drafted a receiver when you clearly needed a secondary fucking player. And you drafted a receiver. Now, granted, Chris Godwin was coming off of another fucking torn ACL, another injury. Mike Evans was also banged up. Mike Evans was coming in. So you kind of needed one. But that was a luxury pick when you couldn't fucking take one. And now you're sitting at home after winning the game Saturday, but having your fate be put in somebody else's hands. Literally. You put your fate in the Saints' hands. Why? When you had the division, you had it. And you fucking lost it. Why? Because your defense can't fucking play football. Bruh, it's okay that your team had a moment, whatever the case may be. But Lord, injuries happen. Fuck, I know that. But Lord have mercy, your defense sucked for a good stretch of the season. Like, they just didn't play for a good stretch of the fucking season. But again, people are going to try to write whatever narrative they want to write for Tampa Bay. I said this last night and I'll say it again. Tampa Bay is getting older and not getting younger. And that is where their downfall is going to come. Baker Mayfield can do all the shit he can do. But at some point, that team is just going to fucking fold. They're getting older, not younger, especially in the division where Carolina is young. And the Saints are about to possibly have a lot of young, older veterans, probably lead Cam and Demario Davis both are like, oh, we're probably coming back. I don't know if that's a good idea. I think you need to go. And Taysom Hill definitely might be retiring. In a team like the Saints that's getting very young too, and you still got Atlanta with Michael Penix and Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and that defense over there that's very young. Tampa's the old team now in the NFC South, and that's not what you want to be, especially when the old team is losing the division. You don't want to be the old team losing divisions like when you had the shit locked up. That's not good. That's not good. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with Tampa. I don't know if they're gonna fire Todd Bowles. I don't know if they're gonna just make a defensive change on the coaching staff. But something definitely needs to happen, and you need to do it quick. And maybe you need to start having the conversation of, yes, I know we played Chris Godwin, but we might need to trade him. And that's that. That is our belief sports. I had a lot to talk about today. I'm sorry. I had a lot to talk about. There's a lot of shit going on. I'll be back next week with the NBA. College football will be going into the national championship game the following Monday, January 19th. I think it's the college championship game. And then of course got the NFL playoffs, wild card weekend going into the divisional rounds. I'll be back with Crazy Six next week for the NBA. So stay tuned for that. Um, so yeah, that's all, man. That's it. And next week I'll be talking about the coaching situation because I don't know how many more coaches might be getting fired. We do not know. So yeah, that's all next week. Till next week. Peace.